for this week's episode of SMTV News.
The USM campus of Hattiesburg hosted a showing to encourage students and staff to vote just before the election. Stay tuned to find out more information.
And coming up a little bit in our show, I'll let you know why Hattiesburgans feel it's so important to get that voice heard.
All of this and more on SMTV.
SMTV News for Thursday, November the 7th starts right now.
From the Chuck Scarborough Television Studio on the campus of the University of Southern Mississippi, this is SMTV News. News you can use.
Hello USM, and thank you for joining us on this post-election day episode. I'm Bethal Miles.
And I'm Kennedy Drake. Here are our top news stories.
On November 4th, the film Dying to Vote was presented on the Hattiesburg campus by the Center of Human Rights.
One in our district. Well, you know what? That might be just true and okay. Because nothing is more important than for all of us as citizens to exercise our right to vote.
Such as Hattiesburg's Mayor Toby Barker, the League of Women's Voters, Pine Belt's Peg Sora Eldo, Dennis Daymar were featured. The film shares the story of Vernon Daymar and how his family was affected during the Civil Rights Movement. Vernon helped register African Americans to vote even when it was ridiculed against. Vernon died for the vote, and Dennis lives on to share the story of his father's bravery through the film. As the election has passed, it's important to exercise your American right to vote in every election, according to Vernon Daymar. If you don't vote, you don't count.
The push to the polls was in full effect on Election Day. Americans of all ages and ethnicities were out and about getting ballots in. Our very own Bethal Miles caught up with some first-time voters and got to see just how excited they were about the future decision of 2024.
Hattiesburg has nearly 19 polling locations. Among the busiest is Tim's Elementary. Here, Baron Vance shared his emotions after voting for the first time.
Felt great. Woke up, I knew I was going to do it early because I didn't want to wait all that long, so I'm pretty excited actually to be out here and do this for the first time.
Connecting with politics at a young age almost feels like a rite of passage.
I'm 18, so I don't feel old, but it does make me feel a little more responsible to just actually go in and let my voice be heard, as they say. So,
switching up the scenery, but keeping the same enthusiasm here at the Highland Park voting polls location, a couple steps away from the Longleaf Trace. I got a chance to speak with another youngin' who was super excited about her first time being able to vote.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to vote and see what happens with this election. I feel like it's so important for young people to vote and put our voices out there because we are the future of this country. We get to make these decisions, and it's very important because we are built on a democracy and we get to vote on that democracy.
Isabella also told me it's common for people to question how much their vote really counts.
Like, I used to be the type of person that was like, oh, I'm just one person, but that one person can mean a lot.
Elections impact your everyday life, so voting gives you a stake in your community.
People complain about who's in power, but you have the power to change who's in power. So I just say, put your vote out there.
At the polls in Hattiesburg, Bethal Miles, Let me just say, Ken, I ain't the oldest dude in the room, but I'm definitely not the youngest. And seeing all these young people going to vote, when I tell you it did something a little different to me. Let's move along here. Now, there's always power in the youth having knowledge, and it's good to see so many young people understanding the importance of their vote. But next up, Southern Miss held a 3-minute thesis competition on November the 31st and October the 1st. The competition was developed by the University of Queensland in Australia originally, and our reporter, Nishranika, has more on what was going on.
The 3-minute thesis competition is an academic competition for graduate students. The presentation should be limited to one PowerPoint slide with no props or additional media and should be limited to 3 minutes. The presentations will be judged on different aspects, including simplicity, the presenter's enthusiasm, and the ability to explain the significance of the research.
Interventions and further promote equity inequality.
The grand champion this year was Alyssa Saw from Polymer Engineering. The runner-up was Amy Coronado from Polymer Engineering, and Madeline Klubertans from Kinesiology won People's Choice.
I felt good. I thought it was a great experience. You know, I think as grad students we get really good at representing our work to other academics. But for me, it was like a real personal challenge to check my understanding, because they say if you really understand a topic, you should be able to explain it to an audience that's not a specialist. And I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed hearing all the work from the other disciplines as well.
All the students who moved to the final round received $250. The grand champion received another $1,000, the runner-up received additional $750, and the People's Choice Award winner got another $500. The grand champion will also represent Southern Miss at the regional 3-minute thesis competition being held at Dallas, Texas. The competition will be held from March 19th to 21st.
Now, if you were interested, the 3-minute thesis competition is open to all of the students enrolled in a master's or PhD program, and for the students who are enrolled in 100% online programs as well.
Considering young adults can vote, join the military, or buy a house at 18, students are now questioning should the current alcohol consumption age be changed. Currently in America, 18-year-olds can vote, join the military, buy a house, and participate in several more coming-of-age decisions. Due to this, some students believe it is an injustice to have to wait until they turn 21 to buy or consume alcohol.
If we commit crime, it's not like there's you are 19 and you're 22. It's the same thing. You will get a same punishment. If we get a same punishment for a 19 years old and a 22 years old, doesn't that make a sense that we can have a same right as 21 plus for being a 19? So I think it has to be lower.
In other countries such as Germany, the alcohol consumption age is 16. While some students agree that 16 is a decent age, others are concerned about the effects it can have on adolescent brains.
I feel like once you're older, you know how to navigate life a little bit, and you know how to be more responsible.
A common opinion amongst students is that America has its rules for the benefit and safety of its citizens. This idea leads to the most asked question: is there a large mental difference between 18 and 21?
Because you're making decisions based on how you feel in the moment rather than how it can affect you in the long term.
While some students argue for consistency in legal responsibilities, others feel the current age serves as a protective measure. It's a debate that highlights the complexities of maturity, responsibility, and safety. Kennedi Drake, SM2 News. Yes, a lot of students have different opinions on alcohol consumption, but right now it looks like they have a good idea set in place. Coming up after the commercial break, we have our SMTV weather report and flash news briefing.
Stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
If you have to pretend to be happy,
find someone you trust and tell them.
If you get mad at things and you don't know why, or have thoughts about hurting yourself,
find someone you trust and tell them.
You are never alone when you share. Seriously, people care about you.
It's okay to not understand what you're feeling.
And it's easy to think that you're all alone.
But you don't have to be.
You're never alone when you share.
Don't be ashamed to tell someone you trust what you're feeling.
You're not alone.
You are not alone. Find someone you trust and tell them.
Tell a parent.
Tell a teacher. Tell a brother or sister.
Or just tell a friend.
You haven't done anything wrong.
Talk to someone.
Talk to someone.
It's how things get better.
Are you ready to help your family get prepared for the unexpected? Here we go! Ladybug and Cat Noir know how important it is to be ready, because you never know when Hawkmoth is going to strike or a disaster will hit. And you don't need miraculous powers. Just put those planning skills you already have to good use. Make a plan that will help you and your family be ready when emergencies happen. Ready Kids can help. Get started at ready.gov/kids.
Welcome back to SMTV. I'm Rachel Brox, your SMTV weather report. Looking at today's temperatures, the high is going to be at 83 degrees and the low is going to be at 67. Now, as you can see, there will be a little bit of rain, 32%. Now, sorry about that. So make sure you grab an umbrella and a raincoat so you won't get wet before you leave the house. Now, let's move into Friday's weather. The high is expected to be at 80 degrees, and the low will be at 67. Now, we're going to say the same thing for Saturday. The only difference will be the rain chance is going to be at 51% on Friday and a little bit heavier on Saturday. Now on Sunday, it's going to go down a little bit to 78 degrees, but then the temperature will also drop down to 59 degrees for the low. On to Monday, it's going to go back up a little for the high at 80 degrees, but the temperature will drop that evening at 57 degrees. Now let's move on to our rain chances. The rain chances for this week are all above 20%, so make sure you grab an umbrella. So, looking at Friday, like I said, it's going to be at 51%, which is a lot. It's going to go up even more on Saturday to 68%, and it'll drop back down on Sunday at 59%. Now, the only exception for this week is Monday. It's going to go down to 13%. Now, this is going to be a lot of heavy rain this week, so make sure you keep an umbrella on you this weekend, okay? For this upcoming weekend. Now, that is all that I have for you for this SMTV Weather Report. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Rachel Brock, your SMTV Weather Reporter. Peace out, Southern Miss.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for that brief weather report.
Now it's time for your Flash News Briefing. A Hattiesburg woman is arrested for aggravated assault after allegedly hitting her ex-boyfriend's girlfriend with a car. Officers say the victim was struck while out with her boyfriend that evening. According to the victim, the criminal quickly fled the scene. The woman who committed the crime turned herself in to the police and was charged with aggravated assault due to having a deadly weapon.
Now on to state news. In Jackson, a man was killed in a tragic accident after apparently a dump truck malfunctioned. Monday morning, the incident happened on East McDowell Road in Jackson, and authorities tell us the man was buried under fresh asphalt due to the malfunction. Jackson police are still investigating this incident, and officials say the death appears to be accidental at this time.
After a close presidential race between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, a new president was finally declared. Trump was elected the nation's 47th president. This new president achievement happened from an electoral college vote of 277, while Harris had 224. Demographics say Trump's electoral votes came mostly from men, white voters, Latin Americans, and young people. Election officials say Trump won the battleground states of North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, surpassing the goal of 270. Officials then declared votes were still being counted in other states such as Michigan, Nevada, and Arizona when Trump won the election.
Ken, I think it's important, regardless of what size that you choose, if you're left, right, whatever you decided to go with, that we choose right now to be as unified as we can be.
Yes, it's very important because we are America. We should support one another regardless.
100%. And the only way that things will get better with everything going on here is if we work together.
I know that's right.
Now, just in a little bit, we'll have SM2 News in your community calendar.
Don't go anywhere. SMTV will be right back after this quick commercial break.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dad. Happy birthday to you.
What are you going to wish for, Grandpa?
Don't just wish you had taken care of your hearing loss. Take action today. Visit ActNow on hearing.com to learn the...
Hello and welcome back to SMTV. I'm Emily Blue and I'm here with this week's community calendar. Today, Southern Miss, Ceramics National, and Cups of Contemplation exhibits are featured in a dual exhibit. They will be featured from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the George Hurst building. The closing reception will be at 7 p.m. University's Library Special Collections is hosting an opening for exhibits curated by the Honors College students. The opening is today at 11 a.m. in the McCain Library and Archives, room 305. Next weekend holds the 47th annual Oyster Love Tennis Tournament hosted by the Racquet Club of Hattiesburg. The deadline to register is November 10th. After the Military Appreciation Game on Saturday, this Sunday is the 24-hour Veterans Wall Vigil. The USM Air Force ROTC Honor Guard will commence the vigil on Sunday at 11 a.m. and the vigil will conclude on Monday at 11. Also on Monday is the annual Veterans Day Parade, which will start at 10 a.m. That's it for your community calendar update with me, Emily Blue. See you next time, Southern Miss.
Good afternoon, Golden Eagles. I'm your SMTV sports anchor, Gabe Calhoun, and we have a loaded sports segment for you. Let's get right into it. Let's start off with football. The boys want to rest this week, had time to recover, had time to think about things, but the Golden Eagles have shifted their attention to Saturday as they play host to conference foe Marshall. Kickoff has been set for 2:30 on Saturday, so you can catch the early games and the late games, because we've been having them at 6. Been kind of dark, but times are changing. Let's get on to soccer. Our ladies were dealt with a win and get in situation for the conference tournament. And it looked good for the Eagles as they've beaten ULM 6 straight times. But things took a turn for the worse as the Lady Eagles dropped the game to ULM 3-0. Digging into volleyball, our Lady Golden Eagles were on the road this week as they took on the Texas State Bobcats to continue conference play. The Eagles started out pretty good but had no answer for the Bobcats as they were swept on both days 3-0. But that was last week. The Lady Eagles have a chance to boost their conference resume as they play host to Troy starting tonight at 6 and will be tomorrow also at 6. Now passing over to basketball, our men's and women's teams tipped off in regular season action against the same team but in different places. Our men played host to Bowling Green as part of the MAC/Sunbelt Challenge, and the women did the same thing. The men who were at home in the Reed Green handled business, only trailing once from opening tip-off. And having all 5 starters reach double digits in scoring really helped. As for our Lady Eagles, they had to travel to Bowling Green. The matchup was tightly contested, but the Lady Eagles fell short, trailing by 15 at one point and making it all the way down to 4, losing 71-67. The ladies will be at home today hosting Blue Mountain Christian for their annual Education Day game. And the men are taking on UAB in Birmingham, Alabama. Tip-off for that is at 6:30 and will be streamed on ESPN Plus for those who aren't able to attend. For our player of the week, we had a bunch of players ball out, but none other than Hattiesburg's own Malia Grayson. Malia dominated in the road loss to Bowling Green, scoring 24 points along with 5 rebounds and 1 assist. Ready for the NBA. Good job. Good job, Malia. This has been your SMTV Sports segment. I'm your host, Gabe Calhoun. As always, Southern Miss.
This week's interview focuses on 2 of the international programs offered at USM.
Here is Eagle Interview, hosted by Kaylin Morgan.
Hey Golden Eagles, and welcome back to Eagle Interview. I'm your host, Kaylin Moran, and today we have 2 very special guests joining us in the studio. We have Dr. Leah McSorley from International Student and Scholar Services and Miss Abby Phillips from the Study Abroad program. Thank you both so much for joining me today.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yes, of course. So, Dr. McSorley, do you kind of want to give us an introduction on what the International Student and Scholar Services is?
Sure. So we work with all international folks, both students that are here on exchange programs for a temporary basis, as well as degree-seeking students, bachelor's and graduate students, all the way up to PhD, as well as research scholars who are conducting research under the various labs around campus.
And Ms. Phillips, what is the Study Abroad program?
Yeah, so our Study Abroad office is able to send USM students abroad to about 12 different countries around the world where you can earn USM credit while getting financial aid to help pay for it, which is always a bonus. But then they get to leave the country while still earning that credit that they need.
And what are the eligibility requirements for students to be able to go on these trips?
Yeah. So students just simply have to have a 2.25 GPA and not be in academic probation or anything like that. So you have to be in good standing with the university and have that 2.25 GPA.
It's awesome to know that it's so open to so many different students on campus. Like, it's a really great opportunity for those who are interested. And speaking of something that students might be interested in, it's International Students Week here on USM's campus. So Dr. McSorley, how do you think students are going to experience this week? What do you hope that they gain from this?
Yeah, so we are excited to partner with the Office of Study Abroad, the Cook Library, Campus Recreation, and tons of other student organizations, including the International Student Cultural Organizations who I work with. And each of us are kind of bringing a different spin to what international education means to USM. And so for the student organizations I work with, they have proposed and coordinated and planned on a variety of really excellent educational programs and opportunities for cultural exchange between international students and the USM community. So for example, on Tuesday, we will have had a campus diversity fair along with a study abroad fair. We have a coffee hour with our Pakistani Student Association, and we just completed our Tihar cultural event with the Nepali Student Association, where they helped explain what is Tihar, and it's a very important celebration in Nepal. So I think it gives our international students a chance to show off a little bit about their culture and also bring a little bit of the world here to USM in Hattiesburg, where we don't always get that type of exposure.
Right. It's really important for students to be able to have that exposure and like see the world culturally and experience it with their friends and stuff. So, Ms. Phillips, what do you think about International Student Week as well? Is there anything special Study Abroad is putting on?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got tons of programs today. In fact, we are about to have our British Studies Time for Tea. It's at noon in the Cook Library. So if you have a chance, stop by. We are going to be talking about the British Studies program that day. And then this afternoon, we are going to have a really important discussion with the NAACP and the ACS organization. They're going to be talking about what it's like for their different students, both here at campus, but also just out in the world in general too. So it's going to be a really important conversation that they're going to have. So we're excited about that. But then today is also going to be the last day where you can vote for your favorite photo. We've had some really good student pictures that they have submitted, and students here on campus have had all week to be able to vote for their favorite, and the winner gets passed on to the statewide competition. So last year, the USM representative is the one who won the state photo contest. So we are very excited about that. So if you haven't done that yet, feel free to stop by the union and get that vote out too.
Well, that was really incredible. It was so honoring just to sit down with you both. I can tell you're very, very passionate about your jobs, and it's really exciting, especially this upcoming week. I cannot wait to get to see all of the cultural celebrations and experience it. So thank you both so much for sitting down with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Of course, of course. And thank you, Golden Eagles, for sitting down with us too. My name is Kaylin Morin, and I have been your host, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Be sure to watch the full interview on our YouTube channel, Southern Miss Student Media. The sequel to Moana, the Disney princess sensation, is planned to hit theaters on November 27th. Moana 2 picks up 3 years after the events of the first movie. Moana, the main character, is called by her ancestors to set out on a journey in order to break a curse. The movie features many familiar characters from the first film, along with various new characters. The story was meant to be a series featured on Disney Plus, but has since been repurposed as a feature-length film. Many fans of the first movie are excited and anxious about the sequel, hoping that the second film will live up to the hype of the original movie.
Can't wait to see that one. And although this story isn't in a movie format, we thought we would still feature it on SMTV Cinema. Marvel's universe's Agatha All Along has taken Marvel fans by storm. The TV miniseries focuses on the villain, Agatha, from Marvel's other show, WandaVision. After Agatha quite literally stole the show in WandaVision, it was only natural for Marvel Studios to make a series featuring the beloved character. Agatha All Along premiered on September 18th and finished its first season off with a total of 9 episodes. The series gives fans a new perspective of the Marvel Universe through the lens of the villain. Audiences are expecting the announcement for the second season in the next couple of months.
And that wraps up this episode of SMTV Cinema.
Until our next screening. Kennedy, we spoke a little bit earlier about how it's all about unifying after this upcoming election. You know, it doesn't matter whose votes is what or how you felt. We just got a press release from the Trump administration telling us that Harris actually has called them. And I don't know if they kind of squashed beef or whatever happened, but you can just tell she's giving him his flowers, accepting her loss, and dealing with it.
Yes, that's really good sportsmanship. It's really good to see two people running that are coming together just supporting one another.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I feel like there was a lot of maybe shots thrown throughout the campaign, but at the end of the day, these are two leaders. This is a woman who stepped up in the place of somebody at a very bad time, and this is a man who has already been president once before. So I hope these two leaders can come together and possibly even collab on something. What you think?
Yes, that would be awesome to see, especially for our country to see, because it's really motivational to see, regardless of any bad blood or any tension that may have been shown before. It's good to see people coming together and wanting the best, because at the end they all have the same goal.
It's all the same goal. Speaking of that same goal, we are inching a little bit closer to the end of the semester. We just want to say thank you so much for hanging on with us through this semester. The people who watch us on YouTube, the people who watch us from our other streaming platforms, we appreciate you. That's going to be all for your post-election day episode of SMTV. Make sure to visit our social media pages, like this episode, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Southern Miss Student Media. If you would like to submit a news tip, email us at sm2news@usm.edu.
Also, if you would like to advertise with SM2 Media, please reach out to Jason Beverly at jason.beverly@usm.edu. You can find all these stories and more on our website, sm2media.com. That's all that we have for SMTV. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on our next newscast. Always remember, Southern Miss
to the top.